Hello, Control-Alt listeners, and welcome to another special edition of Control-Alt Listen, the podcast series to help you understand a little bit about thought leadership within the OpenText way. Today, I'm especially privileged to have with me Todd Sion, our President of Worldwide Sales. Todd, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Suren. Excited to be here. Thanks for hosting me.
Today, I really wanted to give our international audience some exposure to who Todd is, right? I mean, you're 90 odd days in the organization. Internally, people have seen you about, but if you could just give a brief intro to who is Todd?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So I have been asked this question. So golden thread, maybe starting with in my life, relationships are a key part of who I am. That starts with my faith, extends to my family. I have a wife and 3 kids. I have 2 brothers. I'm the middle of 3 brothers. My mom and dad, fortunately, are still with us. My friends, and then my work colleagues. I live in Austin, Texas, in the United States. And then professionally, I've had a sales quota. I won't tell you exactly how long, but for over 30 years. Most of that has been in the technology industry. Half of my career was with Microsoft. And then with various companies over the last second half of my career.
Being in a global company like OpenText, and you've been around in a lot of global tech firms, can you describe what your approach is to leading a global team, and how do you keep them motivated? Because we are so dispersed across the globe. How do you keep that connected glue?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. Look, there's a simple equation I've found to leading commercial teams with a yield of growth, predictable growth on the other side. And it starts with people, and that is the most important part of the equation. Having the right people on the team that are motivated and equipped and clear on their mission is super critical. There's a lot that goes into that, enabling teams with structure and programs, making sure that they have everything they need to be successful, and then knocking down barriers just to support that team. Critical. So I'd say sellers first. Number 2 then is selling to customers and doing it in the right way. In sales is about growth, predictable growth. That requires transactions, but customer relationships should not be transactional. Yeah. They should be based on value exchange. Very important through that value to close transactions, but very important to document and exchange value with customers. And then the third ingredient to leading teams, commercial teams, I found is rigor. Doing that in a very rigorous way, focusing on the basics, the fundamentals. Super critical, and then having tight operations to be able to manage the business well. And in the end, what that allows you to do is make the news time for sellers, and minimize reporting the news time. Pull reporting the news off of sales management and sellers, pull that into operations teams and roles like mine.
We talk a lot about technology. We are a tech firm, right? And we help customers solve complex problems. But in this highly competitive market of where every second conversation you're having is about AI, what do you think are the critical leadership skills that are required in this high-tech market with the competitive nature of AI?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's probably some common leadership skills that span major tech milestones, and then maybe they're just going faster. They require higher speed in this era of AI. But look, to be a leader, it has nothing to do with a job title, right, or a position. The only thing that you need to be a leader is you need followers. That's it. I mean, and there have been some bad leaders, some malevolent leaders in the world over time that had followers, and there's fortunately been many benevolent leaders over time as well. You need followers, and to have followers, you have to build trust.
Yeah.
And trust comes, I've found, in my own experience and in my own exploration, of leadership in my career. Trust comes from being a great collaborator. So that means connecting with people, helping them get their stuff done as much as you getting your own stuff done, which requires empathy. That means being capable, having competency. So when you make a commitment, you have to be able to deliver against that commitment. So collaboration, capability, and then it also, in recent years, I'm learning it also requires vulnerability.
Yeah.
Just being super open and transparent on what's going well and what's not going well. And when I find that those three kind of components exist in a leader, man, there is a lot of impact. Impact definitely scales. The last thing I'd say, in leadership, particularly in this AI era, is curiosity. I think increasingly being a curious person is so important because it continually drives you to learn. And our marketplace is changing so fast these days. I've been in the market for a while, but I have to continually learn to remain relevant to our team and to our customers.
Thanks, Todd. While you were speaking, I think I was reminded of something that Colonel Nicole, I can't remember her surname.
Malachowski. You got it.
Malachowski. She said something that was super important. She said, trust starts with being trustworthy.
That's right.
And I think, being in a sales organization for us, that is super, super important.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Now, OpenText is a global organization. We're a Canadian firm. How do you see us adapting to different market changes and requirements being a global organization?
Yeah, you have to start with the customer first, right? At OpenText, we have, as Mark Barrenechea, our CEO, says, we've got several norths, and one of our critical norths is focusing on customers. And obviously, customers operate across many marketplaces, oftentimes in our global world. But you have to start with the customer, and ideally, in an efficiently run organization, you have a global strategy, but with focus on customer, that means it lands locally. Global strategy to drive efficiency and clarity, but then tweaked, you could say last mile modification for local execution with customers in mind. As an example, I was fortunate to spend a week in Japan with our Japan president for OpenText in the last several weeks. And it became super clear to me that we have several categories of global strategies that are not landing into that marketplace with enough specificity for that customer base. And that team needs help from global teams to be able to do that, to be more consistent and then help them land partnerships, as an example, some key partnerships that we have into that marketplace.
Thanks. We spoke earlier about AI and leadership, but for people on the ground, like an account executive, how do you see the role of an account executive evolving with the advancement of AI, and how do we balance that with the human touch of being in front of a customer?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I think about it externally and internally. Externally, the role of an account executive, is to help customers. Customers are made up of human beings, right? Help them solve problems or capture, uncaptured opportunities. So AI has been around a long time. Generative AI is obviously accelerating very rapidly in our marketplaces. Every single senior executive across the planet is under pressure from boards of directors to really, really drive transformational change, leveraging AI within their enterprises and not be disrupted by other enterprises leveraging AI. So they're looking for answers. The answers are not super clear right now. There's so much testing and piloting going on. Account executives have such a great opportunity to be provocative, to bring a point of view, to explain, and then most importantly, demonstrate how OpenText can quickly help senior executives get some concepts in generative AI into reality and into production very quickly. We have tools, as we know, Aviator, that can help executives do that. Externally, we have to be confident and provocative to be able to do that. And you just have to start. You just have to start having those conversations. They're not going to be perfect, but I promise you there's a vacuum amongst executives in our customer base that's waiting to be filled by somebody if we don't fill it. Internally, for account executives, look, I think about becoming more efficient. We certainly have rules of business conduct and security guidelines around using generative AI at OpenText for good reason, to manage our intellectual property. But increasingly, there will be more and more and more tools available to account executives to use to be creative and to become more efficient. Example, internally for proposal generation, we saw this week at our company kickoff and sales kickoff some tools that are launching internally to help us become more efficient at proposal generation as well, which is super exciting. The key is for account executives to use it.
Thanks, Todd. Thank you so much for your time today. I mean, it's really been an insightful discussion. But before I let you go, you've been around in the IT industry for a long time. So, you've been in high-tech firms, large innovations have been happening. What are the top 3 takeaways that you could leave with our audience before you go?
Yeah, look, I think I would say, Suren, in my career, I have the most value and just the most satisfaction from relationships. I'd say internal relationships from colleagues that I've worked with that I still maintain. Even though I may not work for the same company as them, those relationships are super rich and important to me and fulfilling. Customer relationships that I still have from years of working with different people, and partner relationships too. So I'd encourage people to think about their work from a relational lens, not just a transactional lens. So I'd say that's number 1. Number 2, I'd say, is remain curious. In order to be capable in the marketplace, regardless for the company you're working with, you have to continue to grow and develop yourself because the market's changing fast, very fast. I had a manager mention to me, I mentioned this week at SKO, that Todd, he said, the bar in our company is going to continue to go up, and it's your job to keep your rear end above that bar, every single week, month, quarter, and year. And to do that, you have to invest in yourself. You have to continue to grow. You have to change. And the only person and the only thing that can help you change is what you see in the mirror when you wake up every morning. And that's you. I'm accountable for my own development. So that's another one, is be curious and lean into development. I'd say the third is have fun. I have been doing this for a while, and I've learned some lessons through some successes and some failures as well over my career. And the old adage that life is short and a career is short is true. Time goes fast, and have fun. We had dinner last night as a group, and one of our colleagues shared a personal story, a personal anecdote about a family situation, and it really made me think and reminded me about just enjoying the journey in life, and not waiting for that horizon milestone to come, but enjoy the moment now. And again, it starts with relationships. To me, starts and ends with relationships. Stay curious and enjoy the journey.
Todd, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on the show. I certainly found it insightful, and I'm sure our audience will. So thank you for your time, Todd.
Thanks for the invitation, Suren.
Thank you. So thank you for joining us for another episode of Control Alt Listen. Don't forget to like and subscribe to be updated on the latest episodes, and we'll see you soon.